2007 to 2010 was an exciting time for music game fans like myself. I remember music games were all the rage, and I would always look forward to every new release from Activision and Harmonix. Both companies would fight tooth and nail for the rhythm game dominance, only ironically to have both franchises die a sudden and expected death. During the 4-year battle, both companies did whatever they could to attract audiences to their game, even signing certain artists to exclusive contracts that still hold up to this day. Both games looked very similar back then. They both featured 4 instruments and similar looking note highways, and even featured some of the same songs as well. What's interesting with this year's music rivalry is that it's not so cut and dry. Both Guitar Hero Live and Rock Band 4 appear to be going in completely different directions. Guitar Hero is more focused on reinventing the franchise, while Rock Band 4 feels more like a gradual evolution of the series. So you're probably asking, Sid, which game is better? To answer that question, let's break down both games across several categories you're probably interested in. We'll look at each game's song list, we'll look at the career mode, we'll look at the multiplayer for each game, and then finally at the end, I will crown a winner in terms of what game I think is best in my opinion. Let's talk about the instruments and their features. So let's start with Guitar Hero Live. So gone are the bass and drums in Guitar Hero, as the game's main core focus is on guitar and vocals. And vocals kind of takes a backseat to the guitar. It's really about the guitar at the end of the day. The guitar peripheral has really been redesigned and now features 6 buttons. The new guitar peripheral feels really great and plays really well. It definitely feels like a fresh new take on the series. I felt the same way playing Guitar Hero Live as I did when I played Guitar Hero 3 or any of the following games, in the series. It was like that first time picking up Guitar Hero and trying to learn it from scratch. That's what Guitar Hero Live feels like. There's a pretty steep learning curve to this game because, playing with 5 buttons after all these years, you're pretty used to it. The 6 buttons and the new redesign feels a lot different. I can't even play on Expert yet. I'm still playing on Advanced. That being said, the big downside to the new peripheral is that none of your old Guitar Hero or Rock Band instruments work on Guitar Hero Live, with the exception of the microphones, of course. If you don't have a microphone lying around, you can also download a free companion app for your iOS device and use your phone as a microphone. It works surprisingly well, and I've tried singing both using a real microphone and the smartphone, and I was able to score about the same. Turning now to Rock Band 4, as most of you know, most of your old Guitar Hero and Rock Band peripherals work on Rock Band 4. There's a compatibility chart up on Harmonix's website and in the description box below for you to check out. And I have to say that the old instruments work really well. You just plug them in and they start working immediately. So you don't have to go buy the new expensive peripherals, because the new band bundle for Rock Band 4 is considerably more expensive than what we paid for Rock Band 2. And that may be a barrier to entry for a lot of people. But if you have some extra instruments lying around, use them. I highly recommend them. Now let's talk about the actual new guitar, drums, and microphone for Rock Band 4. The new Rock Band 4 guitar looks pretty nice. It's got sort of like a sunburst kind of finish on it, or like a wooden kind of finish. And the buttons are a lot quieter on it. The neck is a little bit more rigid, but there really aren't any new functionalities. They've enhanced some stuff, like actually calibrating the game is much easier now with the new guitar. The tilt sensor works a lot better. But I don't really know if it's worth spending the extra money to get a brand new guitar if you've got some old ones lying around. I feel the same way about the drum kit. The drum kit has some issues in terms of dropping notes. And, I've seen some people have broken the bass pedal already as well. The other instruments have been hampered by numerous bugs, which have had to be updated through a firmware update that you can only download if you actually have a Windows PC. If you have a Mac, you're sort of out of luck with that. We've also seen the new microphone that's come out, and I will say the new microphones, I wouldn't say it's a huge improvement over the other microphones from past games. It's a little bit bigger cosmetically. Aesthetically, it looks a little bit nicer and more high-end. But, I didn't really notice any substantial difference between the old Rock Band mics or Guitar Hero mics and the new Rock Band 4 mic. At the end of the day, I'm going to give the advantage to Rock Band 4 simply because you can just use your old instruments and you don't have to pay the extra money to buy the brand new instruments. But that being said, don't discount the new Guitar Hero live guitar. It plays really well. It feels really good. Actually simulating, giving you a sense of what chord shapes can sort of feel like is also really cool. Although there have been some issues with people having sticky buttons and some broken guitars out of the box, but that's pretty ordinary with any kind of games that come with any kind of peripherals. Let's talk about the song list, because the song list couldn't be any more different. And this is the section that's really subjective. Guitar Hero Live focuses much more on a more recent kind of stuff. All those old days and the old games of focusing on hard rock are kind of gone. It's really about hipster music and indie music, and even rock bands who've been around for a while. It's all about their newer songs. There are a handful of classic rock tracks in here, but for the most part, if you don't like new music and more recent music in the last 5 or 6 years, you're probably not going to like GH Live's set list. And in addition to that, it's only got 42 songs on disc, which is pretty minimal to say the least. But they do have 200 songs in Guitar Hero TV, and the GH TV tunes are a little bit more varied, and they have a lot more older stuff on those channels than they would on disc. Rock Band 4, meanwhile, has 65 songs on disc. They do have some new bands like U2, they have Van Halen, they have Elvis, they have Van Morrison, so there are some really well-known bands on there, and some newcomers to the franchise. We've also got some returning ones like Aerosmith, which are great and always welcome. And then we've also got DLC coming out every week as well. And you've got all your old, 1700 songs you can export to Rock Band 4 as well. And there's just more variety on Rock Band 4. The one thing I really hated about Guitar Hero Live is that none of your old DLC works, which I feel was sort of like a slap in the face to longtime fans. I think for this category, I'm giving it to Rock Band 4 by a long shot, just because they have way more songs available. You can actually download songs in Rock Band 4, which is something you can't do in Guitar Hero Live. Everything's a microtransaction in Guitar Hero Live, so I'm giving advantage to Rock Band 4. Talk about the game's presentation. So I think Guitar Hero Live definitely has the biggest drastic departure from previous games. Gone are the cartoony characters and backgrounds. It's all about full motion video now. You're playing to real crowds with real bandmates. And I have to say, it's a big improvement over what we've seen in past games. Guitar Hero Live made me most feel like I was actually playing on stage with a band. Rock Band 4 kind of sticks to what you would expect. It's more cartoony characters, more cartoony, audiences and backgrounds. It's pretty much on par with what you've seen with Rock Band 3, and I think this is where GH Live sort of pulls ahead. It's got a much better presentation, even though I didn't really feel like I was connected to the musicians on stage, largely because you play with so many different bands in the game. I'm going to say advantage Guitar Hero Live when it comes to the presentation. Let's go into our next category. Let's talk about the gameplay, which is really going to make or break your decision. The gameplay in Rock Band 4 plays pretty similar to Rock Band 3 and Rock Band 2 in the previous ones. There's some subtle changes here and there, but for the most part, this is a game you've come to know and love over the years. There are some more freestyle expressions, like you can do freestyle guitar solos, which are amazing and so much fun. It sort of lets you put a mark on your own song, and that's something I wish Guitar Hero Live sort of had, some sort of way to creatively express yourself and have some sort of personalization on the tracks. The drums, feel pretty much the same. There's the new drum fill system, which works reasonably well. I feel like there's some fills thrown in there that aren't really a best representation of what a drummer would play at a particular song. And then you've got freestyle vocals, which let you, sort of add your own personal style to a song, and you can sort of sing off pitch if you want to. But other than that, the game plays pretty much identical to past Rock Band games. Looking now at Guitar Hero Live plays completely different from past games. The button configuration is a lot different. You're sort of simulating playing real chords. And the gameplay in both games feels really solid. It's really going to depend on what kind of gameplay experience you want. Do you want something familiar, or do you want something that's maybe a lot different and something that feels like a new, fresh take on the genre? Personally, I'm going to give the advantage to Rock Band 4 because I wish Guitar Hero Live had some of those personalization aspects that Rock Band 4 has, and I'm primarily a drummer and I love playing drums, and unfortunately I can't do that in Guitar Hero Live. Let's talk about the career mode. So the career mode is, they're pretty different in both games. Guitar Hero Live is what you would expect. The game's split up amongst 2 festivals, and there's a bunch of different sets in each festival. They're sort of music themed, so one's maybe like alternative festival or an alternative gig, and then one's maybe a metal one and so forth. And you play through these gigs, and then that's basically it. There's 42 songs, and then you play through it once, and you never really want to come back and play through it again. And the big problem I have with the career mode is that I don't feel connected to these characters because I'm playing with different bands in each set I'm playing. I felt like I was more of a session musician and filling in for somebody than actually, playing with his band for a long period of time. I don't really know what makes these characters tick. How do they get to be where they are today? And what is their own personality types? I don't really get that sense in Guitar Hero Live. Rock Band 4 doesn't do a much better job in that sense, but Rock Band 4's career mode is much better than Guitar Hero Live's. There's a branching storyline. You actually can make decisions, and you can choose exactly what kind of band you want to be. Do you want to be indie darlings, or do you want to sell out? It's totally up to you. And you can play through it multiple times and have different experiences. You'll unlock different gigs, you'll unlock a number of fans, you'll make different amounts of money, and then you'll also unlock different set lists as well, and different kind of song types you'll play. And I give the huge advantage in the career mode to Rock Band 4, and they've sort of hinted that they could be releasing more DLC down the road that will allow you to extend the career mode a little bit further than what's offered on disc. Let's talk about multiplayer, because this one is an interesting category. I would say that, Guitar Hero Live has done something very interesting with GHTV. It's in a super addictive service. It's basically playing along to MTV music videos to best describe it. There's 2 channels available. There's going to be another one at launch. And you basically just play along to the music video, and then you rank up as you keep playing, and you level up, and you earn more coins, and you can get, more customizable items like player cards, and you can get hero powers and a bunch of other things too. And then they also have an on-demand service which allows you to basically access all of the GHTV songs anytime you want. The downside is you can't actually download the songs. You have to basically use play tokens, which is a real bummer because the GHTV service is full of microtransactions, and it may turn off some people, especially score chasers. This service is not very friendly to score chasers. And speaking of online play, there is no online play to speak of in Rock Band 4. It's really disappointing considering the number of hours I put into Rock Band 3's online play that Rock Band 4 has no online play to speak of. Rock Band 4 does offer local multiplayer for up to 6 people, and I will say Rock Band to this day is still one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever played with other people in my own living room. It's just a blast to play, especially when you're playing with people who are good at Rock Band and you're playing at the same level as you. There's nothing more fun than this game. That being said, this category is kind of hard to declare a winner. I'm going to probably say it's a tie because, Guitar Hero Live has online. You can go play it online. You don't need a PlayStation Plus account or Xbox Live to actually play the GHTV component. Whereas, Rock Band just doesn't have that online component, which a lot of people were asking for, but it still is a great local multiplayer game. I'm hoping online play gets added later on down the road. Let's go into our final verdict. So the final verdict for these 2 games is that I think Rock Band 4 is a better game. That being said, Guitar Hero Live still offers an amazing experience, and just because I think Rock Band 4 is a great game, that doesn't mean that's actually fact. That's just my opinion. Really, you guys have to ask yourself, what kind of music game do you want to play? Are you a fan of guitar? Then maybe Guitar Hero Live is a game to play. Largely because the instrument has been redesigned, it's going to feel more fresh to you, where Rock Band 4 feels a little bit more familiar. But if you're a fan of, maybe singing and playing drums, then the choice is really clear. I think it's Rock Band 4 all the way. The other thing you really have to ask yourself too is, what kind of player are you? Are you a guy who likes to just play online and, compete against other people? Then maybe Guitar Hero Live is the way to go. Whereas if you're more like me and you maybe sometimes you like to play by yourself or just score chase, and maybe you occasionally play online, then maybe Rock Band 4 is the way to go. So there's a number of things you have to ask yourself in terms of what you want to get out of these games. If you want something that feels fresh and new and completely different, go get Guitar Hero Live. But if you want something more familiar and you want to use all your old DLC purchases and your old instruments, then Rock Band 4 is easily the clear winner. So that's my thoughts on the 2 games. I've gotten this question a lot from YouTube comments and